Hey guys, welcome back to a Create Hang with the DAE. I'm Patrick, and today I'm going to be continuing my 2D animation run cycle. So let's get started. Now, last week I said I would finish the animation, and last week I said I would finish the animation off screen, and then we'll color it this week, and I mostly told the truth there. This went down. I mostly told the truth there. I just have one more frame to do, and then we're good to go. So let me finish that right now. But I hope everyone's been having a... Well, I hope everyone's been having a week. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, no, I've been just kind of doing this. In fairness, I did this all yesterday. I did this whole thing yesterday. The animation, I actually redid a bunch of it because I didn't like how some of it was turning out. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down and redo this all because that's the kind of person I am. The kind of person who can never be satisfied with just a slightly off thing. So yeah, I redid this all. I redid the majority of the animation. Not everything, but mostly I just cleaned it up a bit more. This is the final cleanup. So I did actually. I did actually finish the animation. I just didn't like it, so I'm cleaning it up now. So I wasn't completely lying. I just mostly lied. I apologize. I know this puts a break in the trust between us right now, and that's just not okay. But yeah, no, this has been a really fun... I've been enjoying doing this. It's relaxing in a lot of ways. It's funny, I both get very stressed out about animation and get relaxed by animation. It's a very tough relationship I have with it. I've learned that I don't really have that much internal motivation. I need external motivators half the time, which is why I say, like, hey, I'm going to finish this by this week so that that way I don't have an excuse when it's not done. I just have to deal with that. For some odd reason, can disappoint myself all the time, but if I disappoint others, it's just can't do that. So yeah, now I found that I love animating, I love doing all this stuff, but I find that like half the time whenever I do animation, I find that my best work, or the work that I get done, and I really get done, is ones that I've set a specific goal, and I've basically told people, hey, this is my goal, and that's actually why I tell people what my goals are. It doesn't work for everyone, but it works for me. It's a way to be like, hey, I am bad at holding myself accountable, even though no one will actually care. Like for projects like this, no one actually cares if it gets done. It still gives that sense of like, I will be disappointing someone if I don't do it, which, say what you will about that. It helps me get things done. And, I work on it and I actually finish things. When I have a deadline, when I have certain things I need to get done, I tend to figure it out, even if it is frustrating sometimes to figure out, because for obvious reasons, things are tough to do sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to get motivated to do really anything, and it stinks. Like, I'm sure everyone has dealt with that, and especially with everything. It's hard to get a motivation to do work. That's why it's really important to, take some time and really be kind to yourself when you're doing work like this. I used to have a lot of... just saying I'm late for my shift, which I'm not. I'm here. I used to have a lot more self-motivation. Couple bad years of just working and having things just kind of hit me down, kind of killed all that self-motivation. And that stinks. It's tough. And it also is tough because for a while there, I also kind of fell out of love with doing art. It became an obligation. It became something I needed to do because it was like, well, what was all I working for? if I don't get a career or do things like that with this, and it stinks because it's like I used to love just doing art for the sake of doing art, and it's tough to fall out of love with that. And it's something I always try to tell kids. It's like, hey, at the end of the day, don't if you can't do it professionally or you can't do things, don't be hard on yourself, because the worst feeling in the world is having something you love become something that is just hard to look at. And so yeah, for a couple years here or there, it was really hard for me to do any sort of animation, and it only became very recently that I really got back into just doing art for the sake of art. I've been posting more, I've been doing more things, and like, yeah, I want to have a career in animation, mainly because I want to, I find one of the most rewarding things in the world for me, the thing that I find very fulfilling, is working with other creative people, like on a team and stuff. That's why the DA is actually super important to me, is because it's just a bunch of creative people who work together and we help other people do creative things. And one of my favorite things in the world is not just doing creative things and showing other people my creative things, but also seeing other people's creative stuff. It's fun, it's interesting. I love seeing people get excited about talking about what they do. I guess it's funny because as I said, I don't have much internal motivation, but what gives me passion about things is other people's passion. I'm kind of like a passion leech. I'm like, give me your passion. But I really do love places where I can work with other people who are creative, and I want to keep doing that. That's the thing that I find super rewarding and super fun, and honestly just gives me ability to move forward half the time. Is just, hey, I like talking to people about creative stuff. So that's why. So it took me a while to realize that. It takes a lot to realize what actually draws you to art, and a lot of people have different things, and everyone's is different. But for me, it's just the fact that I just enjoy being around other creative people. It's just a type of mindset that gives me a lot of life. And even if it's funny because if you talk to me when I'm in a mood about animation stuff, when I'm animating, or if you talk to me when I am teaching and stuff, I feel way different than when I'm by myself animating. Oftentimes you'll find that I'm like, hey, I'm super motivated, I am very excited about the work, and I am able to really dive into the nitty-gritty of animation without really getting tired or frustrated. But when I'm home and when I'm alone and when I'm just sitting doing the work, it's just which is why I listen to music. I try to do other things. I listen to podcasts a lot. I listened to a lot of really good podcasts recently, like the 1619 Project podcast. It's really good. Also just other some D&D podcasts, just stuff that gives me people talking a lot. And I think at the end of the day, that's what helps me a lot, is just talking to other people about stuff. And so while I can't motivate myself, I can very easily motivate others. And I also get motivated by others. I think it's a two-way streak. I like helping others be motivated, and in turn that motivates me to do more work, and more artistic work specifically. And again, it's not always perfect. Obviously nothing is perfect, but it's what helps me. And it's scary to think about all what is good with art. Welcome to Create and Hang, by the way, where I am just talking to people and just going on about my personal reasons for doing art and stuff. I have to watch some of the other Create and Hangs. I don't think anyone else goes this deep into their psychology than I do. I'm just that kind of person. I'm an open book. I just like talking to people. So, hey, you came to watch me animate. Let me tell you my life story. My father never hugged me. No, I'm kidding you. My father did hug me. But God. Recently, I've been also really watching a couple shows. Let's switch the subject up to something fun. Obviously, She-Ra. I've been obsessed with that. Really obsessed with that, actually. Really good show. Definitely recommend. But I've also been trying to keep an eye out for other shows that are interesting. There's a Lovecraft show that's coming on HBO that I'm interested in. I think it's called Lovecraft Country. I don't. It looks interesting, and I do like Lovecraft stuff. It's weird. I don't like horror. I just don't like watching horror movies. I'm a coward. I'm a bloody coward. But I like Lovecraft stuff. It's just a fun lore. And even though Lovecraft was absolutely a terrible human being, there's something really cool about the world and something interesting about the world that he made. And I enjoy when I see other creators working within that world, because you get a lot more interesting stories than just what Lovecraft himself was producing. Again, I'm not saying that Lovecraft didn't have interesting stories. Quite the opposite. It's just that he himself was not the best human being in the world. And so seeing other creators, especially creators that he wouldn't have necessarily liked a lot, take his world and really make something unique and interesting with it, really is something cool. And it's interesting because people have a gut reaction of well, this is the purest form of the work, but there's so many good adaptations and ideas about what to create. And when you look at things through different lenses, it really helps, I think, elevate works. I think HBO also did. HBO, I'm going to go on a bit about HBO because I've been watching mostly HBO stuff. Have to watch all the Miyazaki films. They just got them on. But with HBO HBO did Watchmen, which came out last year in November, October, November. It came out. It was a very limited run, but it was so good. I honestly I don't think I remember all my friends getting sick and tired because I didn't stop talking about it. And I still won't stop talking about it. It's a great show. And that one was interesting because it just delved into things that the original Watchmen didn't delve into, such as race and things like that. And it was interesting. Really fascinating look into that world. And I think was a really cool show, and really makes you think, which I always want a show to do. I always want a show to get me excited to talk about it, which is why I really, really love She-Ra. That show really got me talking about it, and one of my friends now is watching it and just texting me her thoughts, and I'm just yes, I want more thoughts. I just like talking to people about creative stuff. It just gives me life. In fact, actually, most of my friends get really annoyed at me. Because when I get into a creative spiral, whenever I get into a spiral of just really liking something, they will literally never hear me shut up about it. I will talk about it for hours on end on any given day. And and it's funny because there'll be points where they will mention something that will vaguely relate to it, and I'll start going on, and they'll just be like, dang it, I didn't mean to. Okay, I guess I'm sitting here for another 2 hours while Patrick goes on about the show that he likes. And it's funny because I'm just I really want people to watch these things, and I try to get them to watch it, but one of the worst ways to get anyone to watch something is to say, hey, you should watch it 1 billion times over, because that will just get them to not want to watch it. Unfortunately, that's my go-to strategy when getting people to try to watch things. It's hey, you should watch this thing. Hey, you should watch this thing. I tend to have more success with people that do not live in proximity with me. So people who are actually my good friends, or my wife, I'll be hey, you should watch this thing 1 billion times, and it just I end up just stopping them from any motivation to watch these things. which is unfortunate because I A, think they would like them, and B, I really want to talk to them about it. It's a very selfish motivation, really, but hey, that's what it is. I'm trying to think of other shows or movies that I watch. What time is 10:17. I'm okay. Doing pretty good on time. See? Okay. See, I finished. Now I can color. Kind of. Well, let's fix that bit. There we go. Okay. Don't like. I might need to clean up the line work a little bit more later, but I do want to just show the animation. So we have the finished animation. It's a full run cycle. It's on 2s. So I actually put the frames per second at, that says 9. That shouldn't be the case. That's now 19. That's also not the case. I put the frames per second at 12 frames per second. Animation mostly runs on 24 frames per second, but because this is animated on 2s, it's actually just a 12 frame per second thing. It's not 24 frames, it's 12 frames per second because it's every other frame. Originally I did have it switch up with the speed and pace depending on the shot, but I'm not sure of how I like that, so I want to watch it like this. I'm going to go back and just adjust a few things, and then we're going to color. So let's see how this goes. Okay, that comes out pretty good. I really like that. And so it started off, just as a point of reference, I'll show you the build up here. It started off with this character doing their run. Oh, whoops, I forgot something. 1 second. Let me fix this so that it's actually down to where it needed to be. Boop. Nope. Nope. Why are you not? Oh, that's because you're locked. That would help. So, we started off with just this one frame of animation. Well, this cycle. So let's go through. So we have the start one. Okay. Next we have the second one, which is the one I did that you guys saw me do for the most part. I didn't like how unclean it was. That she switched it, her hands changed size the entire time. It didn't look good. Now we have the cleaned up one, which looks a lot better. So again, it's just a matter of time, slowly building up until we have this. And now we have a finished 2D animation. Well, we say finished, we still have to color it. So first thing I'm going to do is save. And next we are going to actually go in and start coloring. Now coloring should be easier. Now, I haven't done much coloring yet in this program. So we're going to be experimenting together today. Let's see if there's anyone commenting. Nope. Not yet. I'm all alone. Anyway. So now we're going to actually color this guy. Girl. Person. Let me get rid of this little section here. So I did get rid of the buttons just because there's too many to... So one thing I did change is if you look at this one, she had buttons. I got rid of those buttons because it's just too much to keep track of. I also got rid of the laces. I need to fix that, and I can go in and adjust those, but I have the laces as well. But yeah, it goes from here to here. Oh, I don't like how much that shoe changes. That. So you have to go back and just adjust things sometimes. It's like, yeah, that didn't come out as well as I wanted it to. See, sometimes it just requires a little bit of adjustment. There we go. Okay. Oh, I missed a thing here. There you go. Okay. Not entirely sure if I like how her sneakers came out, but we'll see. Oh, okay. Doesn't look bad. Okay. So, coloring. Always fun. Not okay. Let's get to actual coloring. So, one thing I do have is I do have a reference picture for her right here. Now she wears a kind of tannish shirt with brown vest, brown pants, and light up shoes. That's her, and she has purple streams in her hair, which I think I'm gonna do last. But that seems pretty easy, especially since I've adjusted the character to be a little bit simpler. There's obviously things I need to adjust still. One thing that I do need to do is make sure I put the bandages on her neck. So let's actually do that right now. Just be like, whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go. Yeah, that works. Okay, so she has bandages on her neck. So now we have to get the actual colors in. So to create new colors, you go in here and you create a new style, I believe. Yes, new style. Now this is color 2. I'm gonna just do this as skin. This is outline. So skin, we're gonna go in. I'm gonna start with her skin. Now let's see if I can actually. Nope, that didn't work. But what if I use a color picker? No, that does not work. Lovely. So that doesn't work. So that's not fun. But let's see if we can. Oh wait, I actually have an idea. So what I'm going to do, this you won't be able to see this because the way I have the stream set up, I only see the actual scene here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into a different program, Photoshop, and I'm going to open. Let's see if I can find her. Let's see, open. So I'm just, let me find this. So while I'm doing this, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going in and finding the color code. So every color has a hexadecimal code that goes with it. And what that does, it lets you find, if you're in different programs, you're able to just plug in that code and you'll have the exact color. So, you know, useful, especially when doing this stuff. Oh, this is her in armor. I don't want her in armor. She has armor. Okay, so technically, fun little facts about this character is that she has this upgrade. She has this power. Well, upgrade. It's her armor has this little thing that projects different clothing on inside of the armor. So oftentimes, she's wearing her armor pretty much at all times because she's ready to get into a fight whenever, if she needs to. She's always there to save the day. But that helps in the game because I can just be like, yeah, no, she's wearing her armor, but I don't need to always be like, hey, she's wearing this. I can have fun. And after all, half the fun of D&D is putting your characters in fun, different outfits. Seriously, I think my all-time favorite D&D session ever, like not like one I've played, but like ones in general, because it happens a lot actually, is whenever the characters have to go to have to sneak into a fancy ball or something, I'm like, yes, okay, cool, this is their outfit, this is their Sunday, like this is exactly what it looks like, this is the color scheme. I have like a folder saved of just like different outfits that I'm like, yes, this is a D&D character, yes, this is a character that I'm gonna draw. And the reason why I like doing that is just because I'm an artist. I enjoy drawing all these different. There it is. I enjoy drawing all these different characters, and I like drawing these characters in different outfits. So oftentimes, whenever I'm needing to do outfits like this, I'm just like, I need to make sure that I have the exact. There's the hexadecimal code. I need to make sure that I have exactly I need to know what exactly the outfit is at all times. Oh no, do they not have a hexadecimal code in here? Wait a second. I do not see a hexadecimal code. That's unfortunate. Well, good news is they do have all of these, so I can still do this. It's just a matter of slightly longer process. Okay, so the hue is 30. Ah, come back. Okay, hue is 36. Nope, that's 35. 36. The saturation is 15. 15. The B, which I don't know what that stands for. The blue. Wait, what about the V? What's the V? What's the V? Guys, what's the V? Let me check. V. No, there's two B's. I guess that might be this. I don't know. I'm worried. Okay, no, that looks about right. Okay, so next is the other colors. So 253. 253. Nope, come back. 253. 238. 238. And the blue is 216. Oh, that didn't change anything. Okay, well, that's her skin tone. Cool. No, wait, did not change. Wait, no, come back. Please, I forgot to hit apply. Never forget to hit apply, friends. Never forget. Okay, so let's try this again. So hue is 36, 15, 36. Nope. 36. 15. Good. I believe this was 3, 8, and 6. 8 and 6, right? Let's check. Let's go back to our little Photoshop buddy. 3, 8, and 6. 3, 8, and 6. Good. Apply. There we go. Now that we have the color, now it's just a matter of painting it in. Now, you'll notice that there is a couple issues here. One is that her eyes over here are not going to be that color. They're going to be white because they're eyes. So they have the eye color of white. So I need to change that. But let's first get in and get the majority of the skin done. That's it. That's all the skin that she... Oh, her arm here. Cool. Next, I have to go in and actually adjust this. So first, let's create a new palette. So this is new style. And this one's going to be eyes. We'll do eyes. Yeah, we'll do eyes next, and then we'll do her other colors. Well, eyes and teeth. I'm not going too fancy with the coloring, though I might change my mind on that later. I bear the right to change my mind on anything. But yeah, no. So I'll go in and I can just change this color to white. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. There we go. Apply. See, I wonder if I can. So, here's the question. Can I just color over? What's this do? That doesn't do anything. What's this do? Okay. Right now the answer is no. But what if the answer was yes? I know that's seems weird, but you know, it might be yes eventually. We'll see what happens. But first, let's get our little paint bucket here and do that. There we go. White, white. There we go. We have her first bit done. I do want her to have some reddish in her cheeks, so we're going to go in and do that later. But let's continue with these other colors first. So let's, what's the next color in the color scheme? So next is her shirt. So let's go and get that shirt. Just big blue eyes, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do the blue eyes. Not saying I won't, because I do like doing things like that, but let's... Oh, right, I have to get the colors. Why can't the colors be easy? That's because they Things are never easy, Patrick. Why are you asking these questions that you know the answers to? Just like whining. I'm just like, yeah, I want to whine about this. Why can't all things just be done already for me? Why do I have to actually do the work to get this done? I said the shirt I'm doing next. Yeah. Okay, so let's create a new palette. New palette. Or new style. They're called styles. Shirt. I like how easy that is. Just create a new palette. Bam. Ooh, I wonder if I could... Okay, so let's make sure we don't do this too much. We're going to just push that to the side here. Okay, cool. And what we're going to do is... So you guys are seeing less, but that's fine. Because as soon as I do this, you guys should see everything, right? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. So we're just going to make this a little bit smaller for a second and make this a little bit faster for me. Because I can just keep that up and go down the list. 52, 52, 9, and 98, 251, 251, 248, and 229. Bam, got our shirt color. And no, wait, come back. Apply. No, dang it. Why do you hurt me? Okay, let's try this again. 52, 9, 98, 98, 251, 251. That's still not typing in. 251. That's because you're not actually supposed to be that. Right, you're supposed to just be... Right, let's undo that. Alpha's 255. This is 251, 248, 229. Apply. There we go. Now we have the shirt. Now I can just go in and be like boop, da boop, da boop. I'm gonna need to add shadows. Not right now, but eventually. Because that is important. Okay, so next up. So we have the shirt. Life is good with the shirt right now, so we're gonna keep that over here. I'm gonna make it as big as I can so I don't need to, so you guys can see as much as possible. But what we're gonna do next is we're going to get the vest. Let's do that one next. I like the vest color. Okay, so the vest color. So let's new style. Vest. I have a vested interest. Ha ha ha. Comedy. Let's see. Vest colors. Okay, let's go in and we're gonna double click this guy. And we're just gonna go in and do this again. 40. I really wish I could just copy and paste the hexadecimal code. Maybe I'm just missing something. I feel like I'm gonna do this all, spend all this time on this, and then I'm going to look around in like a day and be like, oh, dang nabbit. It was here all along. That would be upsetting, to say the least. Like how I keep doing the thing where I exit out before applying. That is extremely upsetting to me. It vexes me, keeps me up at night, really. Okay, so fun little facts that I learned is that these adjust automatically if you just change the colors. Did not know this. Did not know this at all. So you know, maybe I should just change the colors. That would have saved a little bit of time and energy and headache. But no, of course not. That would be too easy for me, Patrick, the person who's doing this video. I would need to make my life more difficult. After all, that's what I do. I make my life difficult. Boop, boop, doop, 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 doop. I like how they color. It really does a nice job coloring any of the stuff in. We're going to go here and go to shirt quickly. Actually, I don't even need to get the colors right. I can just click on this and it'll be like boop, which is nice. That is a nice factoid. Okay, so next is the pants, which shouldn't be too different from the... Okay, the pants is actually very different from the vest, but we'll get to that. So we're going to create a new style. Again, a new style. This is going to be pants. Pants. And we're going to go in and change the colors a bit. So it's 86. Agent 86. 82. Maxwell Smart. Agent 86. I can't do the voice. But, Maxwell Smart. Pretty cool dude. I like the Get Smart show. And the movie. The movie's also pretty okay. The show's way better, but, the movie's okay. I don't hate the movie. I just, like the show better. Which, I think that is not an unpopular opinion, that the show is better than the movie. Show's really good. That's a show that I have, all the DVDs of, or at least most of the DVDs of. I have all the DVDs of that. I have all the DVDs of Darkwing Duck. Also, I don't have the DVDs, though I should get the Blu-rays eventually. I'll eventually convince my wife to buy me the Blu-rays of the Avatar series, Legend of Korra and The Last Airbender. Both of them are fantastic series, not gonna lie. Still some of my all-time favorite shows. I think they go on the list. There's a couple there's only a handful of shows that I'm like, yeah, no, all of them are animation for the record. But there's a couple shows that I'm just like, no, these are some of my all-time favorite shows. These are shows that I'm gonna watch multiple times, and I'm okay with watching them multiple times because they're so good and they mean so much to me. There's 3 shows that I can pretty much, no matter what, sit through another time. Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is kind of inarguably one of the best animated shows of all time. A lot of people kind of agree with that sentiment. It's a very commonly held sentiment about the show, is that, yeah, no, this one was something special. Korra is a little bit more divisive, to say the least. People don't necessarily like Korra, which is unfortunate, because I actually think Korra overall might be stronger from a thematic point of view. Story-wise, Avatar: The Last Airbender just does a lot better job at it. A lot of the stuff it does. The overall story progression makes more sense. It comes from the territory of just knowing where the story was going from the beginning. Korra kind of had a lot of production issues. Going in, season 1 was fine, not the best. It was pretty much what you would expect from a sequel series. Interesting concept, but felt a little rushed because they only had they thought they were only going to do 1 season of Korra, so they were like, okay, we need to tell the whole story right off the bat. Make sure the story's done. Cool, that works, but then when you get more seasons, you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. And it gets even worse when those seasons aren't even just dropped on your plate. You basically are like, hey, Nickelodeon was basically like, hey, you need to make season 2 yesterday. And so they had to kind of scrounge together whatever they could for season 2, which wasn't good. Season 2 of Korra turned a lot of people off of Korra, and that's fair. It was a bad season. I mean, I enjoyed it. It still has some of my all-time favorite moments in it. Season 2 is actually has some really outstanding moments in it and really interesting things. But one of the complaints people have about Korra is just that Korra herself isn't as likable as Aang was, which I actually disagree with. I think I like, quiet opinion, I like Korra better than Aang. But the thing is with Korra is that while she's a lot more abrasive and aggressive than Aang was, she also grows a lot more than Aang does. That's one of the things I do actually have a slight complaint about Avatar: The Last Airbender, is that Aang doesn't actually have as much growth as some of the other characters do. He does have growth. He has so outstanding growth, but there's a lot to Aang that was just no, he's right about things. He's childish and he needed to grow up and become more mature, but there's a lot less noticeable growth, and that's fine. It was subtler, and you also have Zuko right there to just basically be like, hey, here, you want character development, here's all the character development, and also like redemption, and also this, and also he's a cinnamon roll. Like, it's just like, yeah, they obviously had some focuses on what each character was doing. Which again, fine, all things good and fine, but I forgot to name these. Bandages and wrist thingies. Still don't know what they are. They're just kind of cool wrist thingies. I just like the style of them. They look cool, and so I like them. You'd be surprised how much of my character design is pretty much like, hey, this thing looks cool, so yeah, that's what it looks like now. It's because this is cool looking, so that's what I do. Let's do the hair now. Let's do the shoes first. Shoes shouldn't be too hard. Anyway, so with Korra, a lot of people find Korra abrasive and hard to deal with half the time. And that's, again, not completely wrong. Like, she is a very different kind of character. That said, once you get to season 3 of Korra, and I know I've had arguments with people because I have not been able to get into Steven Universe because I can't get past the first 50 episodes, and a lot of people are like, no, you don't understand. The first 50 episodes, like, they're good. I'm like, I'm not even saying they're not good. It's just there's a lot to them. That just wasn't working with me. I need to go back and try it again because I'm a sucker for musicals, and that show is a musical show, and it has all the things I should love theoretically: great animation, good representation. Like, I'm like, oh, this is everything I want, but why can't I get into it? But so with Avatar, so usually I make the so I can't get past the first 50 episodes, and people are like, no, you need to get past the first 50 episodes. Once you do, it's pretty much smooth sailing. It gets really good. It gets really interesting. And they clearly put a lot of effort and planning, even in the first 50 episodes, into what would happen eventually. Great. Awesome. Love that in a show. Korra is a weird example, though, because Korra does everything I say wrong. At the same point, though, I love it. So, like, I don't usually like shows that take a while to really get going. You should be able to bring people in right away. Now, the one thing I will say about Korra is that Korra's first season is strong enough that and the characters are strong enough. Not all the characters. There's definitely some characters that aren't as strong as others. Mako. But the characters are strong enough, and they do enough that you're like, you know what, I can get behind a little bit here. Mako just becomes a cop. And he just doesn't have that much of a story progression. I don't like Mako. I mean, okay, that's actually a lie. I like Mako in the last 2 seasons, where they just are like, yeah, he's just this awkward guy who he literally knows how to handle no person whatsoever. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Mako even grows on me. But, he didn't work in the first season because he's just basically a love interest in the first season, and he has no character outside of brooding love interest, and it's just like, come on. You guys are better than that. So the characters take a while to get off, get started. But once they do, and once you get to season 3, again, first season I think is great. Second season introduces a lot of interesting things, even though the second season stinks. It just has a bad villain. Nothing about it is really memorable. A lot of the characters that are introduced into that season just do much more interesting things in later seasons, and it's a tough thing to get through. Varrick became one of my favorite characters, and he's a season 2 introduction. He has some of the best lines in the show. In actually both Avatar shows, not gonna lie, he's hysterical. So it takes a while for that whole thing to get going, and then you get to season 3, and season 3 does a lot of interesting things, and I don't want to spoil a lot of season 3 because one of the most interesting things about season 3 is that really it's just it does things that you just weren't expecting the show to do at that moment, and in good ways. It's not like, hey, I surprised you, and then, like, the whole point is to surprise. Oh shoot! Oh, okay, I'm back. It's not like, hey, I surprised you. My whole point was to surprise you. It's more just like it makes sense, but you just didn't expect what they did to come out of a show that you thought was aimed at at kids. And that's actually the other thing with Korra. I've discussed this a lot with friends and with my wife about cartoons and a sense of immaturity in most cartoons. And for the most part, it kind of in Western cartoons such as Avatar, the first Avatar, and even Korra at points, and also She-Ra, and other shows like Adventure Time and Steven Universe. There's a sense of immaturity, and it's interesting because there's a couple things that I have thoughts about it. Because one, people think that if you're aiming toward a younger audience, that means you necessarily have to be a little bit more immature with that audience. And even though I very much think that Avatar went out of its way to aim a little bit higher for that, like the first Avatar: Last Airbender still skews toward the younger kid side. They don't deal with nearly as many complex questions. They do deal with complex questions, but like for the most part, they deal with fairly basic, like, hey, genocide is bad kind of questions, and that's fine, and like that's great, and they really did go into war, but you never really worried too much about the characters dying or having to deal with that kind of thing, except one particular character, and that was a very interesting thing, and it was one of the best parts of the show. Season 2 is fantastic of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Definitely watch that show. It's on Netflix now. But when you get into whoops, I forgot to make the new one. This is shoes, and let's do new palette, new style. Okay. We're gonna be able to color one frame. I don't think I'm gonna continue this next week. Though, if you guys have any requests for what I should animate next week, please tell me. I think I'm going to do another 2D animation. I'm maybe a bit more fast and loose than this one. This one I was a little bit more intentional, but I think I'm going to do a little bit more looser and try to keep my style a little bit more loose, like I've been doing with a lot of my drawings. So if you have any recommendations for something I can do next week, please leave it a comment or message us. Meanwhile, I'm going to, if that doesn't happen, I'll probably see if I can animate something in 2D, or even maybe jump into 3D and continue some rigging. I haven't decided yet, and I don't want to decide right now. But Korra, so shows often lean toward immaturity. Even shows made for adults, kind of in the Western animation, still lean toward immature kind of humor, or immature. Like it's like, hey, fart jokes and things like that. And again, there's nothing wrong with a good fart joke, but I'm a sucker for a good fart joke. But it's just like this idea that there's a sense of animation itself is young, and even when it's for adults, it's supposed to be this more immature thing. And that's a lot of Western animation. You don't see it as much in Japanese animation or in other non-Western animations. Anime is one that most people think of, but there's other ones. There's Korean animation. There's also France has some animated shows. The problem is, like, I'm a part of the problem. I don't watch nearly enough other shows or movies from other countries, and I really should do more foreign film watching, because the approach to animation is very different depending on the nation you're in. Again, Western animation kind of has this sense of immaturity. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because the reason why I think Korra is so much more, like, I like Korra a lot. I'm not sure which one I like more between Korra and Avatar: Last Airbender. It's a question that literally always just goes flip-flops, because I like different parts of Korra better than I like different parts of Korra better than what I like about Avatar: Last Airbender, and I'm not sure which one kind of wins out in a lot of cases. And welcome to the club. She-Ra has now taken a spot in that. It's now a 3-person race instead of the 2-person race it's been for forever. But so you have shows aimed toward kids, and then you have Korra, which Korra was super interesting because originally, like, the first 2 seasons definitely aimed toward kids. Big themes, big ideas. They did go a little bit darker with what kind of questions they were asking and what kind of message they wanted to do, and I really appreciate all the stuff that they did with that. But the question becomes, what like the question is did they ever get past that stage? And the last two seasons of Korra really, for me, feel more like oh it even more so than Avatar. And I think Avatar was a very big show for growing up. It's a great show for kids to watch. It doesn't treat kids like idiots. It makes sure that it talks to kids frankly about what's going on in the show, and it trusts that kids are smart enough to understand some of these more complex themes. Korra takes that and it's basically like, oh yeah, no, Avatar is still the kids' table compared to what we're about to talk about. And they talk about much more complex and much more interesting themes and have characters really like the whole point of the show is just one big argument about philosophy, about like different structures of government and how people should treat each other and what should a government look like? What does each different type of government contribute? What's important about things? It talks about like how does religion affect things? How does like again, season 2 was its weakest season, but it does touch on some interesting things with like how do you talk about religion and how do you what the heck was that? Sorry, I just heard a scream outside, which was concerning. And then like season 3 deals with all different forms of government and different sorts of political ideologies. And at the end of the day, one of the biggest questions becomes in the show, it's like, hey, because one of the big questions is what is the correct way of thinking? And you have the main character, Korra, who is this young teenager. She starts the show off at like 16, and I think by the end of the show, oh, hi, Lori. She starts the show off at 16. I think by the end of the show, she's 19. But she's a teenager, and she's navigating this world, and she has all this responsibility to this world. And and she goes from this character who really just starts off the show. She bursts through, the first shot of Korra is her bursting through a wall as like a 5-year-old toddler, and she's just like, I'm the Avatar. And she's very confident with what she thinks. She's very confident with what's right and what's wrong. And she starts the show off headstrong about like, I know what's best. I'm just gonna do it. And the whole show, and especially in season 1, she gets pretty much beaten down on that thought where it's like, hey, just because you're assuming something doesn't mean you're right about something. And she had to change a bit of her mindset. And one of the things I like about Korra, and I think reason why I think Korra is way better than people give it credit for, and also way more mature than even Avatar: The Last Airbender was, is because, even though it has more fart jokes, is because of that overall question of, hey, what does it mean to grow up in this world, and what does it mean to have your own thoughts about things? What does it mean to think about things? And so that's season 1 Korra. Season 1 Korra is questioning with it, and it starts off that trend. Like they started off Korra with this idea of like, hey, we want to discuss things a little bit more deeply and have a little less clean cut good versus evil dynamic, which works. And they touched a little bit on that in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but they really go into it a lot in Korra. Then they got more seasons, and they were like, okay, so we started the show off with this basic question of how does this character handle a complex idea? Like, how does this character handle a more grown-up question? And how is this character who absolutely, if she was in the original Avatar: The Last Airbender, would have just run in and been like, you know what? No, I know what to do. I'm not going to let people stop me. I'm going to do the right thing. Great. But now, and she was raised off of, like, and the whole show, she's pretty much raised off of stories of, like, that's what avatars do. They do the right thing. They know what to do at all times. Yumiko would be pretty fun. I do like Yumiko. I should try that. I should maybe animate Yumiko. Yumiko's interesting because, Yumiko's a character. We had a comment about maybe I should animate a character I play in D&D in a different game. Yumiko's interesting because unlike Aaron, who's this character, or even another character who I just started playing, I don't yet have the perfect design for Yumiko. So I would have to play around with Yumiko's design before I felt comfortable animating her. Get her a little bit more. Okay, so every time she steps, it's gonna light up. Where was I in Korra? Oh, right, Korra. So the first season, they had this, like, how do you talk about a complex idea? Great. And how does this character deal with a complex idea? So she's a character who grew up with stories of avatars do what's right, and the whole point of the first season is what's right isn't as clear, and what's good and evil is not as easily seen, because how do you handle that? Season 2, the reason why Season 2 falters is because there's very clearly a bad guy in Season 2. Like, the guy who's doing the bad stuff is clearly in the wrong. He's literally teaming up with an embodiment of evil. Doesn't work. And that just came with, like, the fact that, like, they didn't know what to do and they had to do it so quickly that they kind of fell back on an old habit, which is fine. And, like, that's what they had to do to get it done and do the things they wanted to do. But it hurt the show, and overall it hurt the show. And I don't think there's one person in the world, one person who's watched Korra and even likes Korra and says that Season 2 is any good. It's not. Then we get to Season 3. Then this is where they really jump back into that original idea of, like, well, what if we put her up against ideas? And they did put her up against idea in Season 2. It's just that idea was definitely wrong. But when they get to Season 3, they really go into, like, well, what if we put it against different ideas? And then they keep doing that for Season 3 and 4. It's pretty much Korra, who is, again, a child. She's in Season 3, I think she's 17 or 18. And she's definitely like 19 or 20 by the end of the series. But so she's put into this world, and she has to make these decisions and these calls about, like, what's right and what's wrong. And she's dealing with a bunch of people basically giving her valid points about why what's in place is not right. And she has to deal with the fact that these people aren't entirely wrong. And you have characters like, and the people that she has to protect are also not good people. And so the whole show from especially from season 1 to 4 is not about just good versus evil. It's like, how do you determine what's right and what's wrong, and where do you draw lines, and how do you make those compromises when there's legitimate problems that you need to address. And it's just interesting. It's a much more dynamic show than most other shows, and I think by the nature of it, a more adult show. I just got the all clear from Nick, though, that it is actually getting, it's 11 o'clock. Oh, wow. Time flies when you're talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. Let me just color her hair quickly. Let's get that little code here, and then we'll wrap it up. But this has been Create and Hang with me, Patrick. I hope you had fun. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and check out some of the other Create and Hangs that have been going on on our channel. People have been doing all sorts of really cool things, and I do recommend checking them all out. They're all really fun and really interesting. As far as me goes, I'll be back next week, and I'm probably going to finish coloring this on my own, and then I'll show you what this final one looks like, and then we'll animate something different. We'll see what we want to do and have fun with that. Why is this not working? Because I don't have the right layer selected. So let's create a new style. But until then, thank you for coming and hanging out with me, and thank you for chatting. I hope you had fun, and I hope you enjoyed just listening to me ramble on about shows. Have a good one, and have a good week. Let me and